I'm Natalie Parker Wiseman. I'm the chairwoman for the Women of Asphalt Texas, and I want to welcome everybody here. Thank you for spending your time and your day with us. I want to recognize, if you're on the committee, please stand up. On the Women of Asphalt committee, please stand up. Who organized this? Louisa, Shelley, Emily, thank you. We are, I'm going to have Louisa Barros come up. Louisa began her career at CRH in 2018 as a mixed design manager in the DFW area. She transferred to Texas Materials in 2021 and is currently the Director of Quality Advancement in at Texas Materials. She's the chair of the Education Subcommittee for the Women of Asphalt Texas branch, and she and Jennifer have done a phenomenal job of putting together these types of events. And so we did them through videos, so you can see them on their YouTube channel. We actually, some great topics. Even if you're not a female or identify as a female, you can, it really has some really great and interesting, fun information in there. So today we're gonna do in person, and it's a women in the field. So we thought, we always talk about women, and we've been highlighting the district engineers and women at a very high, let's say higher levels in their companies and executive levels. And we thought, there are all these women in the field that don't get recognized, and they do amazing work. And it's not something that you expect or to see. And so it's actually changing. You're seeing more females in the field. And so we thought we would bring up some women in the field and talk about their experiences. So I want to welcome Louisa, your moderator, and she'll introduce the panel. Thanks, Louisa.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Natalie, for the introduction. I'm very, very excited to be here. I'm glad to see some women representing today. And I also want to thank all the TexAPA partners for allowing and supporting their women and their team to be here with us today. I really appreciate that. So with that, let's get started. We have 4 great women panelists that accepted to take a little bit of their time and be here today and tell about their background, their stories, what brought them to this, and just learn a little bit of what they do. And you're going to see we have a very dynamic group here today. So let's start with Stephanie Peace. She is the Assistant Operations Manager for East Texas Asphalt, a 26-year veteran of the asphalt pavement industry with a mind for hot mix plant and railroad operations. Please help me welcome Stephanie. The second panelist for today is Gloria Tapia. She works for Texas Materials as a driver. She's responsible for picking up and delivering asphalt and aggregate to different locations and cities. And if I'm not mistaken, she's actually just taking on a new role in safety as well. It just happened last week. So help me welcome Gloria. The third panelist is Trina Seabrands. She started working in construction about 29 years ago as a truck driver. She talked her way into learning how to run cranes and has been a crane operator since then for about 25 years. She is now working as a foreman and operator at Hunter Industries. Please help me welcome Trina. And lastly but not least, I have Brianna Gage. She started in this industry 4 years ago as a laborer for a paving crew at Texas Materials. She rapidly advanced through QC, then into project management role, and recently got promoted to operations manager. Please help me welcome Brianna. All right. As y'all notice, we have a very dynamic group today. We have Stephanie that works in the plant. We have Brianna on the construction side as operations. We also have a truck and also equipment operator. So let's get this started and let's make some great discussion, ask great questions. So the first question I want to ask is, when and how did you start in this industry? Give me a little bit about your background, and let's start with you, Stephanie.
Okay. So I started as a plant operator for East Texas Asphalt Sorry.
If you want, yeah.
So I started 26 years ago with East Texas Asphalt as a plant operator. I ran the Lufkin plant for about 15 years, and then in 2015 we put a plant up at our Tenaha location, and I got it up and running. And about 3 years ago I started assistant operations manager, and it's just I've enjoyed the industry, and I love what I do. It's wonderful.
Great. Stephanie, tell me a little bit. It looks like you've gone around and learned and done different roles. So out of everything you've done in this industry, which experience did you enjoy the most and why?
I like working with people and teaching people how to run the plants, and
I'll volunteer for that, by the way, if you want to teach me.
yeah, it's fun because you know a lot of them that they're scared.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
what if something goes wrong? I like letting them know it's going to be okay. Mistakes are going to be made, but as long as nobody gets hurt, you're okay. We'll fix it.
Yeah, and it's very important, right? Without a plant operating right, we can't get good mix, good quality out there. So it's a very important job, no questions. So Trina, give us a little bit about your background and your story through this 29 years of industry.
Well, I started just trying to drive a truck, and for some reason you drive around a construction site long enough and the crane just looked like the most fun toy that we had out there. So after about a year worth of begging, let me give it a shot. Just want to play with it for a while. So I've been running a crane for probably about 23 years now, and loaders and forklifts, excavators, and any other kind of toy that they have out there. It's just a fun thing to do. Where else do you get to be a big kid and get paid for it?
I like how she used the word toy. That's very interesting. No, and so it sounds like you can just jump in anything and get it going and get it to work. So out of all the equipments that you've operated during your career, is there any preference what you like the most and why?
I would have to say that the crane is still my favorite one.
Okay.
Just what you can do with it, to be able to reach out and give stuff to guys that are, 30, 40 foot up in the air and be able to help them out and do it safely. It's
That's
a
the
good
key.
challenge, and it's definitely fun.
It's a lot of responsibilities for sure. It's a lot of control, a lot of liability, and you got to do it right because it could cause a major fatality for sure.
Yes.
Tell me, in 29 years working in this industry, doing different things, like what do you think that has kept you here for this long?
It's always a challenge. I mean, you get to a new job and you have to figure out how to get in, how to be able to get everything accomplished for building bridges across water, it's always a challenge. There's always something different every day, and you always work with some good people. It's a fun job to have.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I like the most is that dynamic of everything we do, right? It's not boring. It's not the same thing always over and over and over. There's so much. We're here to solve problems, and that's what we do every day of our lives, and I hope people understand that because it's really fun. It really is.
And where else do you get to drive your family around and go, ooh, you just drove over a bridge I built, and I made that one over there.
There you
can
go.
point out everything you've done.
There you go. That's the spirit for sure. Yeah, I haven't built a bridge yet, just yet. So how about you, Brianna? Give a little bit about your story, your background. Your 4 years, you've came a long ways already.
Yeah, so my story is actually a little random. I went to college overseas, so I was in Guam for 4.5 years, and I came back to America not knowing what I wanted to do or get into, but the construction field always looked fun.
You gotta close it to you.
Okay. Well, the construction field always looked fun and entertaining, and I knew the one thing I didn't want in life was to be stuck in an office all day. And so I started with Texas Materials, being a laborer on the crew, and enjoyed that. I got exactly what I wanted. I was outside all day and night sometimes. Eventually, I moved into the QC department and got my 1B certification here, actually. And then eventually I also got pushed into the project management. And that is where I really started thinking that, okay, that this is a career for me. And recently moved into becoming the operations manager for my division. So a lot of changes, but it's all been very exciting.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we're very glad to have you in our team, and that's a lot for 4 years for sure. So that's a truthful testament that you can build a career with all these ladies here. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of progress, career progress, and it's just about having the right attitude and being willing to learn. I think that's the key. You got to be willing to jump in there and learn and do your best and do it right? So, and I think you mentioned about the project management role, but like during the coming with a different background and different actually degree, when did you realize that, okay, I got into this role and this is what I want to do for my life moving forward?
So it was whenever I stepped into project management, just the dynamics of the job, being able to see the operation from start to finish, all of our departments and the different things that they do. I just really enjoyed it and realized I could do it for the rest of my life. And also having that responsibility was very encouraging for a female in the industry, and being able to build, this entire city and the area around it was just super exciting. And being in project management also gave me that work-life balance that I really needed. So I knew I could sustain it long term.
Awesome. Yeah, there's so much to be done. There's so much in the background, and it takes so much for us to build that road out there that everybody's driving on. And I think some people just don't realize of all the different possibilities that there are in all the different jobs. How about you, Gloria? Tell me about your story. I know you were a baker for a long time, so give a little bit of your background and what brought you to ride and drive trucks around.
Oh gosh, I was a baker for maybe about 20 years. Then I worked for Caterpillar. I worked for Toyota. And I keep seeing big trucks go by, and I'm like, hey, you know. So ever since I was a kid, and I told my mother, ever since I was a kid, I want to be a truck driver. She said, why don't you? So when I turned maybe 50, I decided I'm going to become a truck driver. And here I am right now. I went 3 years over the road. I came back, worked for Texas Material, and I've been here since then.
Awesome. So out there in the field working with everybody, what brings you the most joy in your day-to-day work?
With work, gosh, every day is different. You got me sent into maybe Bass Pro Shop. I'll go on the highway. One day I'm hauling rock or sand. It all depends. But my most joy, and I'll tell you the truth, is when I see a little kid. And there I go, okay, and the parents clap and they say thank you. And I love that. I love that.
That's awesome. I'll speak for myself too. Like every time I'm driving through a plant and I see a woman driving a truck or operating an equipment, which is not very common, it makes me, I just want to go in there and talk to them and get to know them, because we need role models. We need those people on those roles. So that gives us everybody the insight that we need of like, yeah, I can do that and I can be that person one day, right? Because if you don't see it, it doesn't feel achievable. So I think it's very important to have people like y'all doing what you do and writing that story for everybody else coming next. So my next question is, how did you advance your career and how did you determine the steps you needed to take? And also, what's next for you now? Let's start with you, Stephanie, with so many years already.
So I was always willing to, if I seen something that needed to be done, I would say, hey, I'll do it. Let me do it, With our new plant that we put up, I was the one that said, I want to learn how to run that plant. I want to be the first one to do it. Just always be willing to learn new things, and don't be scared.
Don't be scared. Ask questions, right?
Ask, yeah. I mean, I forgot to mention, I come back in January, I 1A. And so I've got to get recertified for that. So I did that so that if, our lab guys, if there's nobody in the lab, I can be there and do it.
Yeah, you can fill in the gaps.
Yes,
and
I can
be
fill
that.
in the gaps, yeah.
And look at the power of that, right? Because we are all going through shorthanded, not having the workforce that we need, and you have people like Stephanie and a lot of other women and men out there that can jump in and do whatever is needed. That's very important, right? So good job. Congratulations. I love that. Trina, I know you mentioned too, you've kind of, like the crane operator, we were having this conversation earlier, but like you pretty much had to insist to and ask the question, can I do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, back then, that was a couple of years ago. Yeah, almost 30. So back then, most women, you were flyers. That was about all the position that they had for them. They didn't really want you out there. So yeah, it was going back and almost begging, it's like, just give me a try. If you just give me a try, either I prove it and I get to stay, or I'll go back to driving a truck. It's one or the other. But it did. It took a while to finally convince them to give me a shot. And once I did, it just, now, every time you see a toy, you want to try that one? Sure.
yeah,
Make it happen.
I think that's what we take out of it is be persistent and ask questions. That's how I am, at least. I think it comes a long ways when you're persistent and you keep asking. At some point, people are gonna be so annoyed of having you around. I'm like, all right, let's just do it.
But you get a lot of the guys out there too that if you just ask, it's like, how does it work? They're more than willing to show you how to make everything operate, and they're willing to see if you can fail or if you can make it. So they do like to help you out when you get out there.
Absolutely. And Brianna, I'm sure you have stuff to add here because you've been one of the ones that is going around as a sponge and asking, and I know everybody has been really willing because we have those mentors out there, and everybody's really, really willing to teach and help. So tell me a little bit about your experience with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been very fortunate for our company to be filled with men that are just willing to train up anybody and show them what they know. That is something that they've always been very welcoming about. That's how I started getting into the QC department. I was out on the roads. I had started as a spotter, and we have a QC on site, and I was intrigued by the core rig and just being able to ask him questions, and eventually I was like, well, I can do that. I want to learn more, and that's how that whole transition even came about.
There you go. You have any comments, Gloria, on that you want to add?
Oh, she said just about everything there was.
And be curious. Be curious, be willing, go around, take the opportunity if you can. Because I think that's what we need is that if you show enough of your passion and your willingness to learn, there's always going to be people out there. And stay away from the ones that are not willing to teach. So just don't even waste your time, in my opinion. But I know we have very few of those, though. So my next question is, what qualities about yourself help you manage to work as a female in the field every day? Let's start with you, Gloria.
Darn it.
Uh-oh. I know you're the communication for you, I know you. It's a big one. Relationship.
I have a good relationship with the guys. I'm over on Lookout Road, and I have maybe 8 guys there, and I have 8 guys at the port. So needless to say, I'm the only female truck driver in this place with 30 guys. And I walk in, I talk to them. I don't pretend who I'm not. I just go and act like just one of the guys, and they get along with me real good. Communications, I'm about one of the oldest ones there, but yet I'm the baby sister. Yeah, they're real good with me. The communication's good with us. I walk in, don't pretend who you are. Just go in there and do your job.
Be real. Be you.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And that's another thing. I think this industry is big about, it lets us be ourselves the way we are. And that's the big thing, because there are a lot of other industries that you have to put up a costume almost, right? And I think we can be ourselves in this place and be successful and be happy.
Yeah, they're real good.
Stephanie, how about you? What qualities about yourself help you manage to work as a female in the field?
So I'm a lot like Trina. Just be yourself, I just recently, in the past 3 years, have moved to our office where I work with the women more. And I work better with the guys because I've been working with them for 23 years, And but they respect me. And be yourself. Don't act like you're something that you're not. Just be yourself with them, and
they'll treat you the same way.
They'll treat you the same way, and they have your back.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They do have your back.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you, don't mess with her, leave her alone.
Like the sister, right?
You don't want
got a lot
Stephanie
of-
to get mad.
We've got a lot of brothers and fathers out there,
Yep.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Big family.
Brianna, Trina, any comments, anything to add of your qualities and what made you go this far?
If you're gonna get out there and help them when you don't have something pressing, and you get out there and you help them with their stuff, then it makes them a whole lot happier to come out and help and work with you to help you learn more. So it's a big family worth of people that you get used to them, and everybody starts to know how you work and who you are.
Yep.
It's a good group.
And it is just one big family.
Yeah.
It is.
They're just not coworkers. They are family.
Yeah.
Well, we spend
You
more
know,
time at
yes.
work with our
Yes.
coworkers than
Yeah.
with family,
Yes.
right? Let's put it that way.
That's for sure.
Brianna, any comments on that one?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest characteristic would be empathy. It's a very intense industry. There's a lot that our field guys will go through. So it's more than just saying good morning every day. It's about asking, how are they doing? Is there anything they need? Building those relationships. It's a big quality that I try to keep in mind whenever I'm working out there with them and things like that.
Absolutely. No, I agree with all of you, and it's get to know one's story. I think that's very, very important. And to Trina's point is, I'm big on this as well. Like, I can't be asking people to do things when I'm not there doing myself. So if you show up and you're there and you're just as willing to collaborate and work as a one and work as a team, everybody's going to feel that you have good intentions, and they're going to become our brothers and fathers, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to name it, or mentors, champions. There are so many ways of putting it, but I think it's all about the attitude.
One thing I say is, I tell them, I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not going to try to do myself. I may not can do it like you can, but I'm going to try to do it. I'm not going to ask you if I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everybody could agree on that, I guess, right? All right, so this next question is, I still am trying to learn this one, by the way, so please give me some advice here, is how do you balance work and personal life? Have you used any strategies that you would like to share? Do you have any thoughts on that, Trina, after 29 years?
I don't know, you just go to work every day.
Yeah.
You work around it, and we throw in nights, we throw in weekends, and you just learn how to rearrange your schedule to fit with it.
Yeah. Well, I would say, I think the beauty of it is that we have job going around every day, all the time, 24 hours. So as things change, there's somewhat of a flexibility to play around. I think, at least for me, I've seen that a little bit. Do you have any comments on that, Stephanie?
Just take it as,
Day by day.
yeah, it's a day by day.
Yeah.
Just, you've got to, you still have to have your family.
Yep.
Make time for your family and do with your family. My son, I have a son that's 24 years old, and he grew up with me being gone, 12 hours a day. But you make it work.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do to make it work.
Yeah, and bring them to work here,
Yeah,
too,
there
right?
was a
That's
lot of
girl.
times that he would come to work with me, and I'm like, you sit right there, and the guys,
Safely,
people at work were like, oh yeah, that's cool, So you just make it work.
Yeah, I agree. Any comments on this side of the table?
I think for me personally, it is when you show up to work, you show up completely. It's all about time management, getting what you need to get done. For me, it's a balance between being in the office and being in the field. So when Monday comes around, I know to handle my stuff so that Friday I can go off-roading and to the sites and things like that.
Great point. Yeah, we need to keep that separation, keep home at home, keep work at work. I think I got to learn that for sure. My drive is too short. I don't have time to wind down by the time I get home. But no, I think also I will emphasize this, there's so many roles, so many job opportunities that if for some reason your job is just very demanding in terms of hours or whatever the case may be, or just overall labor intensive, there are other things out there. So there is somewhat of a flexibility that you can transition into a different career under the same industry and to still be able to progress and be well-rounded and progress in your career path. So I think you can do anything that you set your mind to.
One nice thing about construction too is they like to kick us off of the highway during holidays.
That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
You don't really have to worry about them wanting to make you work on Christmas and Thanksgiving, because they don't really want us out there messing up traffic when all of the
Everybody's
heavy
traveling.
travel is going.
Yeah, we shut down, so.
That's
Yeah.
a good point. You
Yeah.
get to enjoy a turkey with the family. That's a good
Yes.
one. Because my mom in the hospital industry, she never really spent holidays with us, so that was a tough one. All right, so the next question is, what positive changes have you noticed in women's presence from when you started your career in this industry in comparison to nowadays? Gloria, I know you've worked a little bit in manufacturing. How was it back then? What has changed? Have you seen more or less, or what are the changes right now?
I've seen a lot more women now compared to what it was back then. Even over the road, I mean, I was just coming out on the trucking industry, and there was men. I mean, and one man come up to me, an example. He says, "Why are you here? Why aren't you home?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He said, "This is a man's world." And I'm like, "Not anymore."
There you go. Not anymore. It should have never been, right? But still.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's come a long way. I see a lot of women truck drivers now, and I'm like, yeah, good job. So
That's me at the
I'm
plant
very
too.
happy.
waving.
Yes.
That's good. Anybody else? What has changed? I'm sure. Is there any other crane operator women other than you over there?
I've heard of one other lady that was over in, she was East Texas, Oklahoma, that was a female operator. But you see a lot more on the other equipment. I mean, we had a lady that ran an excavator, and it's just a joy to watch some of the women when they operate. They actually are a little bit smoother than some of the guys.
Yeah.
I'd almost say they're not so much in a hurry maybe, but we've had a lady that ran an excavator, and it's just a joy to watch her. But you do see a little bit more of them out there. It is a lot more accepted than back when I kind of got started into this.
Yeah.
Thankfully, right? I think it's all about we see, and then we recognize, oh, maybe I can do that too myself. I have a little story that I was telling around. I used to work at a quarry last year, and once I went into a Dairy Queen, and the lady saw my uniform, and she was so impressed that I worked for Texas Materials at the quarry that she was like, oh, I have so and so and so in my family. 4 relatives worked for us at the quarry. And she's always like, they've been telling me to apply, but I told them no, women don't do that kind of stuff. And then she met me, and she was like, yeah, I think I'm going to send my application. So I think we need this, right? We
Yes.
need tell our stories more often and tell it better so people can realize that let's change the scenario, because it's not about one or the other. I'm sure you have some story too, Brianna, to share on that aspect.
I have a lot of stories.
Oh, let's hear. I'm ready.
No, I would just add to it that you guys are right that it is changing. Whenever I first started out, I was the only female. I would be lucky to see another female out there, but she would be like an inspector or something like that. And I really didn't know we had any other female employees until I started learning all of the different departments, or knowing that we had a quarry or women in ags and things like that. So it was more about me just educating myself of the industry, and I found you guys. So.
Good. Now, and I think also for us that are already in it is how can we do a better job to be the champion for the other women out there trying to build their career? What can we do to help them, empower them, and make them feel like they belong, that they're inclusive, create an inclusive environment where they're comfortable enough to stick around? Because I think absolutely, it's not a job for men, and I think there is place for everything. It's just, that's what managers do, right? Being a manager and being a good one is about getting the best out of each one. So that's what you need to do, is identify the characteristics and what everybody brings to the table and be able to position and manage that properly. I think that's the key. I mean, women tend to be more organized. I don't know if that's for everybody, but I'm sure. Anyhow, so I think we have different things that we bring to the table. I can speak that for me and my husband at least. I'm the organized one, no questions. Any more comments on your end, Stephanie?
I'm just saying, I mean, there's lots of opportunity. You've just got to be willing to not give up. And if somebody asks you to do it, try it. You never know. Try to do it.
Don't be afraid, ever.
Don't be afraid.
Speak up, right? Don't be afraid. And if something is not going right, just say it, right? Just try to see what other opportunities, what other paths there are out there, and find that person that you can rely on as a mentor, that you can speak your mind and not be afraid of saying what you're feeling. I think vulnerability is also important. That's for men or women, it doesn't matter. Having that one person that you can pick up a phone and get you to the right path and find strategies to get back. But all right, let's move on to our next question, and that is, how do you think, we kind of already touched base on this a little bit, but how do you think our industry can attract and retain more female candidates? Let's have Brianna.
She's picking on me. I think it's pretty simple. It's about exposure and representation and getting the word out that there is a place for everyone here. I think that's the biggest thing, is that it can be done. If you're willing to do the job, then apply. Go after it.
Absolutely. Any more comments? Stephanie? No?
No.
Trina?
I don't know, it's always better to work outside than it is to be in an office. I found that out for many years, but I don't know, it's a fun job.
Yeah.
Gloria?
It is a fun job.
It is fun?
I love my job, yeah. I love it. Going outside and everything, like I said, every time it's different. And to bring women in, don't be afraid. I've told so many people, how are you going to know if you're not going to try that particular career? If
you don't try, how will you know if you like it or not, right?
I've always wanted to be a truck driver since I was a kid, and I tried it, and where I'm at now, I'm here.
Yeah. And I think for us as managers and people that can make decisions, I would say first listening to what your employees have to say, no matter who they are. It comes back to the empathy. We all have life outside of work. We got stories. We've got challenges. So what can we do in terms of creating a more flexible environment? I know there's only so much we can do, but I guarantee there is one thing here and there that can be done, including maybe reposition somebody to a different role. Yeah. So I think there's a lot that can be done to. And I would also add the inclusion again. If somebody, no matter gender, right, would you agree? If you don't feel included in a job, you're probably not going to want to stick around, right? You got to be somewhat of a family. I think it's more than a paycheck, at least for me.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
Is. Definitely.
You want to be comfortable.
Got to be comfortable. All right. So my next question is, what advice would you give? This is to wrap up, by the way, but what advice would you give to other females that are considering this industry as a career path? If you had one thing to say to them, what would that be? Let's start with you, Stephanie. You look thoughtful over there.
I would say try it. Do it. Don't give up. If that's what you want to do, give it a shot. You may not make it, but you may. You never know until you try.
All right. I agree.
Yeah,
Gloria?
Don't be afraid, Be confident.
Be confident.
Just do it.
There you go. Confidence is one thing. Fake until you make it.
Exactly.
Confidence is one thing for sure that I think you got to have it. And if you realize that somebody don't have it, help them build it. Give those positive feedback. I've got people that have done that for me, and I hope I can do that for others, because it sure makes a difference when you empower someone. You will see they will come ready to work, and they're gonna be very successful. How about you, Trina? What advice would you give to the?
If it looks like you want to try it, try it. If they don't give you an answer right away, then be persistent.
Be persistent. There you go. Yeah, keep asking to which one is the next door and the next equipment.
Give it a shot.
Absolutely. How about you, Brianna?
Just try it. No.
You're kind of running out of options by now, I feel
know,
like.
you guys actually at the end. But no, seriously, go for it. For me, this career was very random. It is not what I went to college for. It was not what I was planning. Really surprised my family with it, but it ended up becoming a passion of mine, and I really enjoy it. So if it's something that you think you might be interested in, then just check it out. Educate yourself.
Yeah, education is very important, and hopefully with this panel and with everything that Women of Asphalt has been doing is about the education and the marketing and telling our story and telling what we've got, because I think we don't really do a good job on that. So we need to be able to you know, share stories like this and showcase people and highlight their story and their lives and what they've done so far. And, you know, I'm guaranteed that Trina's really proud to drive by a bridge and you know, come back memories of everything that she did to make that happen. It's a beautiful, right?
Oh, yeah. We're doing I-10 right now, by the way. in
Same
1604,
thing with
so,
Gloria, driving and hauling all the material. I know, I mean, we all have a little bit of peace on what we do, and it turns out this beautiful product that we have out there that nobody can live without, and people need to recognize that. And I think this is us being able to tell our stories and encourage people and be mentors and champions for the new folks, the new incoming workforce that we have, and hopefully we're going to have a bright, beautiful future ahead of us. And because sure, there is a lot of jobs, no questions, right? So. With that, I want to thank everybody here on the panel. I appreciate everybody's time, effort, and y'all are such a great example. I'm very, I was going to open up for questions, so maybe I switched the order here, but I just want to tell them that I'm really proud to have every one of you here. I'm sure the companies are also very proud to have you ladies in their team, but anybody has questions? I would hope to have a couple at least. Yes, Johnny. Yep.
And last thing I'll say, she's the best train officer I've ever seen.
Way to go.
Thank you, sir.
That's great. Any more questions, comments? Come on, everybody. One more.
So you mentioned earlier that women have a softer touch with equipment, right? So to the contractor, Johnny, is your maintenance less than the equipment that's operated by women than operated by men?
Probably.
I would say that we've had other crane operators on the male side that were a lot tougher on the equipment, and Trina's never had an incident or any issues with the equipment.
One more reason, right, to hire women and to encourage them to come over. It's reduce your costs.
Most of your women also take care of their stuff a little bit more too. They keep their equipment a little
In
bit
shape.
cleaner, and they keep everything in a little better shape than what a lot of the guys do out there too.
Are you doing that, Gloria? What is it for you?
I have to, yeah.
So trucks too. It sounds like trucks are in better shape over
I
here.
have to.
Yeah.
When I'm not there and somebody takes my truck, I'm like, hey, I'll trade you, because there's no, you go clean your own truck.
That has happened to my work truck. They wanted to, as soon as you get rid of it, I'll be the next in line.
Yeah.
That is your home away from home. You
It
do
is.
spend
Yeah,
a
you
lot
spend
of
a lot
time
of
in
time
it.
in
So.
it.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions? No? Yes.
I actually did get on a 210 hydraulic crane one time. A friend of mine let me move a couple stuff around, but the largest one that we have with Johnny is an 80-ton crane.
I hope I get to get inside of one at least once in my life, because I can't imagine how many controls inside of that stuff. And I heard earlier today, I didn't know, maybe, sorry for being kind of a little stupid comment here, but like there is a lot of certification for a crane operator, and they're not easy, right? I don't know if you want to.
Every different style of crane has a different certification that you have to go through for it, and you have to do a practical and a written and all of the different ones. So yeah, there's quite a bit that they started with nowadays.
Yeah. Well, it's all about safety and about precision, right? No question. So. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We have a great program ahead of us, and thank you all for being here in the panel today. I really appreciate it.